A night of spooktacular fun. Halloween is a time when the air is filled with excitement and a hint of mystery. The streets come alive with vibrant decorations, and every corner you turn there's something spooky to behold. Written by R.L. Stine, the master of spine-chilling tales, this night promises to be one of thrills and chills. His stories have captivated readers for generations, making Halloween even more special. Halloween, just the word sends shivers down your spine. It's a night where the ordinary transforms into the extraordinary and the mundane becomes magical. The air is crisp, and the scent of candy and pumpkin spice fills the atmosphere. Costumes, candy, and creepy decorations. From witches and wizards to superheroes and villains, everyone gets a chance to be someone else for a night. The creativity and effort put into these costumes are truly remarkable. It's a night for ghosts, goblins, and things that go bump in the night. Haunted houses become the main attraction with their eerie sounds and spine-tingling sights. Every shadow seems to hide a secret, and every creak of the floorboards adds to the suspense. But have you ever wondered where these spooky traditions came from? The history of Halloween is as fascinating as the night itself. It's a blend of ancient rituals, folklore, and modern-day fun. Let's take a trip back in time and uncover the hilarious history of Halloween. From the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain to the All Hallows' Eve we know today, each era has added its own twist to the celebration. Halloween is a time for fun and excitement. It's a night where both young and old come together to celebrate. Games, parties, and laughter fill the night, creating memories that last a lifetime. We dress up in costumes, pretending to be monsters and creatures. The streets are filled with parades showcasing the most elaborate and imaginative costumes. It's a sight to behold, with everyone trying to outdo each other in creativity. Kids go door to door yelling, "Trick or treat!" The tradition of trick-or-treating dates back to the early 20th century and has become a beloved part of Halloween. The joy on children's faces as they collect their candy treasures is priceless. We decorate our homes with pumpkins, cobwebs, and spooky lights. Each house competes to be the spookiest on the block, with some even turning their front yards into mini haunted houses. It's a night unlike any other, filled with laughter and a little bit of fright. Friends gather to share ghost stories, play games, and enjoy the festive atmosphere. The sense of community and togetherness is palpable, but where did it all begin? The origins of Halloween can be traced back over 2,000 years to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain. It was a time when people believed the boundary between the living and the dead was blurred, and spirits could roam the earth. Over the centuries, these traditions evolved, blending with other cultural practices to become the Halloween we celebrate today. Samhain, where it all began. Our spooky story starts over 2,000 years ago with the Celts. These ancient people had a rich culture and deep connection to the land. They lived in what we now know as ancient Ireland, Britain, and France. Their lives were deeply intertwined with the cycles of nature and the changing seasons. They celebrated a festival called Samhain on October 31st. This was a time of great significance, marking the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter. The Celts believed that on this night, the boundary between the living and the dead became thin. It was a mystical time when the veil between worlds was at its most fragile. Imagine that, ghosts and spirits could wander among us. The Celts thought that the spirits of the dead returned to Earth, bringing both blessings and mischief. To protect themselves, the Celts built huge bonfires to scare away these spooky visitors. The fires were believed to have protective and cleansing powers. They wore costumes, often made of animal skins, to disguise themselves from the spirits. These disguises were meant to confuse the spirits and keep the living safe. They also left food offerings to appease the wandering souls. These offerings were placed outside their homes to ensure that the spirits would not enter and cause trouble. The festival of Samhain was not just about fear and protection, it was also a time to honor the dead and celebrate the cycle of life and death. The Celts would gather together, sharing stories, music, and dance. It was a communal event that strengthened their bonds and kept their traditions alive. As the night of Samhain ended and the sun rose, the Celts believed that the world was renewed. The new year had begun, and with it came hope and the promise of new beginnings. Today, many of our Halloween traditions can be traced back to these ancient Celtic practices. From costumes to bonfires, the spirit of Samhain lives on in our modern celebrations. So as you carve your pumpkins and dress up in costumes, remember the Celts and their festival of Samhain. It's where it all began, and their legacy continues to shape our Halloween traditions today. Roman influence adding to the fun. As the Roman Empire expanded, it brought its own traditions to the Celtic lands. The Romans were known for their ability to integrate and adapt the customs of the people they conquered, and this was no different when they encountered the Celts. The blending of Roman and Celtic traditions created a rich tapestry of cultural practices that have influenced many of the celebrations we know today. The Romans had two festivals that significantly influenced what we now recognize as Halloween. These festivals were deeply rooted in Roman culture and were celebrated with great enthusiasm and reverence. One of these festivals was Feralia, a solemn day dedicated to remembering the dead. During Feralia, Romans would visit the graves of their ancestors, offering food and wine to appease the spirits. This practice of honoring the deceased was very similar to the Celtic traditions of Samhain, where the Celts believed that the boundary between the living and the dead was at its thinnest. The other influential festival was Pomona, which celebrated the goddess of fruits and trees. Pomona was a beloved figure in Roman mythology, and her festival was a time of joy and abundance. People would gather to celebrate the harvest and give thanks for the bounty of nature. Feralia added to the spooky atmosphere of Samhain, blending the Roman customs of honoring the dead with the Celtic traditions. This fusion created a unique celebration that combined elements of both cultures, leading to the eerie and mysterious ambience that we associate with Halloween today. The Romans believed in honoring the dead, just like the Celts. This shared belief in the importance of remembering and respecting the deceased helped to merge the two cultures' practices seamlessly. The rituals and ceremonies of Feralia were easily integrated into the existing Celtic traditions, enriching the overall celebration. Pomona, on the other hand, gave us the tradition of bobbing for apples. This fun and playful activity has its roots in the Roman festival dedicated to the goddess of fruits. During the festival, people would engage in various games and activities that celebrated the harvest, and bobbing for apples became a popular tradition. You see, apples were a symbol of Pomona. They represented fertility, abundance, and the harvest. The Romans believed that apples held special significance and that they could bring good fortune and prosperity. The Romans believed that the first person to pluck an apple from a special tree would have good luck in the coming year. This belief added an element of excitement and anticipation to the festival, as people eagerly participated in the apple-picking tradition, hoping to secure their good fortune for the year ahead. Over time, these Roman customs blended with the Celtic traditions, creating the rich and diverse celebration of Halloween that we enjoy today. Souling the early trick-or-treaters. Fast forward to the Middle Ages. Now, we have a tradition called souling. People would go door to door on November 1st, All Saints' Day, begging for soul cakes. These cakes were treats, and in return for receiving them, the soulers would pray for the dead relatives of the givers. Think of it as the early version of trick-or-treating. Instead of candy, they got soul cakes. And instead of spooky costumes, they wore simple clothes. But the idea was the same: go door to door and get treats. To door. And Victorian hauntings, spooky soirees. Let's jump ahead to the Victorian era. Halloween was becoming popular again, but this time it was all about parties and games. Victorians loved a good scare, and Halloween was the perfect time to indulge in spooky fun. They held seances, trying to contact spirits. They played party games like bobbing for apples and snapping at dangling donuts. They told ghost stories and decorated their homes with creepy crawlies. It was all about embracing the spooky side of Halloween. The American Halloween boom. Halloween sailed across the ocean with immigrants to America. It became a huge hit in the 1950s. After World War II, families were booming, neighborhoods were growing. Trick-or-treating became a fun, safe activity for all the kids. Candy companies saw an opportunity. They started making special Halloween treats. Costumes became more elaborate. Halloween decorations filled stores. It was the beginning of the Halloween frenzy we know and love today. Modern mayhem from trick-or-treating to terror. Today, Halloween is a global phenomenon. We've kept many old traditions like trick-or-treating and wearing costumes, but we've also added new ones like haunted houses, scary movies, and elaborate decorations. People spend weeks creating spooky displays in their yards. Haunted cornfields and hay rides pop up everywhere. We've taken the basic elements of Halloween and turned them into a month-long celebration of all things spooky and fun. Breaking the rules, building community. What's so special about Halloween? It's a night where we break the rules. We get to be someone else, even if it's just for one night. We embrace the weird, the spooky, and the silly. It's a time for laughter and a little bit of fright. But Halloween is more than just candy and costumes. It's about community. We come together to celebrate, share stories, and have some spooky fun. We decorate our homes, throw parties, and wander our neighborhoods, admiring the creativity of others. The enduring spirit of Halloween. From ancient Celtic festivals to modern-day mayhem, Halloween has evolved over centuries, but one thing remains the same: it's a time for fun, fright, and community. So this Halloween, when you're out trick-or-treating or carving pumpkins, remember the long and hilarious history of this spooky holiday. Remember the Celts who started it all with bonfires and costumes. Think of the Romans who added bobbing for apples, and celebrate the modern traditions that make Halloween so unique. Happy Halloween, everyone.